check, 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 chop it down, check, 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 chop it down, chop it down, chop it down, you gon' chop it down, chop it down, chop it down, chop it down, you gon' chop it down. Damn, set, watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep your cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Die.
Hey man, welcome back to another episode of the Trap or Die podcast, post-game edition, man. I'm your host, as always, Mual. In here with AJ. Dre is on the way. Jay, I see you. How to? I see you. Monty, what's going on? Let me go ahead and bring up my NFL Red Zone. Hold on. Not to allude that I be distracted. I'm not gonna be distracted. I'm breaking my A game today. Jay, I see the comments, man. It's been ugly today. We all know the score. Washington loses 14-7. As a 3-point favorite, 3-point road favorite against the New York Giants, man. They go to 3-4. Giants go to 2-5. We are in a situation here where the backlash of this performance is going to be a problem, right? I hear what you're saying. I hear what everybody's saying. AJ, I'm checking to see if you were here. I should have did that before we started.
No, I'm here.
All right,
I'm over here. I'm over here singing the theme. Down, set, hut. Watch me throw the ball.
Hey man, so listen, before we even get started, Kenny, I see you. Benz, I see you. Like button, subscribe button. Even through your pain, man, we appreciate the support. Everybody's tapping in. We are doing call-ins, so if you are interested, right? The link is in the description, or it should be. I'm gonna double check. The link is in the description. If you do make it to the private room and you choose to come up, just get your name or give us a name that we can use so we can get you on the show. Woo! Okay. Let's do our one sentence takeaways, man. I would, you know what? I think we should save that for when Dre gets on because I want that one to be said. And I hope he doesn't forget it. So I'm gonna save the one sentence takeaways for when Dre gets on. AJ, what are your thoughts on the game? Everybody in the chat, let's get your one sentence takeaways if you haven't done it already. I see all the comments coming in, but what are your thoughts on the game? How things went, the flow, all that stuff, man, and we could just dive in there until Drake comes through.
I mean, I think the game went exactly how I thought it would go, because I didn't expect Sam Howell to be able to process reading those blitzes and getting the ball out his hands quick. I mean, some people will probably be like, why didn't Eric Bieniemy do this? Why didn't he do that? If you're sending 6, 7 guys, somebody's open. So it's up to the quarterback to process that pre-snap and be able to get the ball out of his hands quick enough. Unfortunately, the offensive line isn't good. They're not even average. And every opportunity, every drive, there was a penalty of some sorts. It was either holding, false start, something. I'm not really surprised by the result of the game overall. Like I said, Tyrod did his thing. I mean, Tyrod is also a former Pro Bowler. He's led Buffalo Bills to the playoffs. He's been around for a long time, played a lot of a quarterback in this league in different offensive systems, and pretty much has identified what his role is within the NFL as a quarterback. So he's not going to play risky. He did exactly what he needed to do to push his team to the edge to get a win. And, unfortunately, Washington took the L. But, Mual had a great tweet, and we actually talked about it on the show. And it's more so like this organization, and especially under Ron Rivera, is one of the most inconsistent teams in the NFL. You really don't know. I mean, I don't even want to say that cliche saying you really don't know what you're going to get week in, week out. You kind of know, but you're not surprised when, they take a losing of this nature to a team like the Giants that's 1-5, or when they lose to, the Chicago Bears on Thursday night. And as I just look forward before I pass it back to you, Maul, who the hell are they beating on the schedule that remains? They not beating a damn soul left on this schedule.
Well, they do got the Giants again.
And Wink Martindale's just gonna send that blitz even further, even more. Like,
let's see who else they got.
So it's like I don't know who they not beating nobody else on this schedule, bro. Like they not beating the Rams. Because your center play, like Nick Gates got dogged in the first 3 snaps of the game offensively, and it continued all game, and it's going to continue whenever he plays a dominant D tackle. Like there's nothing that he can do. Like it's just too many glaring needs on this team from an offensive standpoint. But we'll take a deep dive into it because I know some people probably calling for EB head like he's Scott Turner. But my question in return, and as we are opening the phone lines for people to chime in, what the hell would you have done in his situation? I mean,
well, I would have. I got answers, bro. Because
he was
I got
screwed.
answers.
No. He was screwed from the jump, and I mean, it's not to say that he called a perfect game or anything, or he didn't have any mistakes. It's just he was screwed before they even lined up. Like it is what it is, and that's why I predicted them to lose in the fashion that they did. I just didn't anticipate Sam Howell ever being able to pick up on what was going to be coming at him each and every down, and especially when you go up 14-0, it's hard.
Well, let's kind of go back, man. Because it said if we're going to stay on the offensive side first, we can do that. Matter of fact, no, we're talking about, we got, so I'm gonna start with the overview, bro, because that's where I was, man. It's before we start talking about people in particular. These guys, from a team standpoint, right? Like, I think when you look at the Commanders in 2023, like we know the history of Ron Rivera, right? We know the history of Ron Rivera and his coaching staff to this point, and the type of production or performances that Washington Commanders have put out on the field since Rivera has taken over head coach. But this year, and we're solely focusing on this year with everything that is in place contextually, ownership wise, you're in your 1 year prove it situation. Ron Rivera is proven, and his team is proven that they just don't have a foundation. They don't have a foundation defensively. They don't have a foundation offensively. You're looking at, like, I mean, from a player standpoint, you know what they're trying to do. You know that they want their pass rush to dominate up front. You know that they're hoping that their pass rush is going to wreak havoc and be the genesis of their turnovers and how they can force turnovers defensively. You're hoping that they get off the field on third down from a secondary standpoint, where the New York Giants and their offensive line and their run game isn't something that looks like they're on pace for a 400-yard day in the first half. These are things that are essential, and we don't even think about the fact that there was missed opportunities from the Giants offensive side where they had a missed field goal early in the game. And I think it was another drive that I'm slipping off the top of my head where it could have been potential. And the fumble where Saquon is.
Matter of fact, there's another one aside from that ball that Sam Howell just had up there. That was a pick six.
I'm not talking about the point. I'm talking about the actual offense and how they looked. The Giants offense. Because we're gonna get to the other side. But I just think from when you look at, like, their foundation or what they perceive their foundation to be is cracked. It's flawed. It doesn't have, like, a way in which, like, if you believe this one thing in your philosophy, you got to be able to dig deeper inside in terms of what I think my philosophy is and how can I adjust it, or how can I give acceptance to the fact that things aren't working. And I'm talking about from a macro perspective. I'm talking about things that you look at from a defensive standpoint and say, this is what we can do differently from now on, or from an offensive standpoint and say, this is what I think we could do differently from now on. One of the biggest things against the Atlanta Falcons that has contributed to today's failure of a game is the fact that you consistently found your way to get in third and long situations, second and long situations, and all of these things where you thought that I can somehow manage to get myself out of these things, and it never works. There was a point in time in the third quarter where Washington was 0 for 10 on third down, and their average yards to go was 9 yards on third down, bro. That is impossible to even think that you can get like half of those. In Atlanta's game, that was one of the problems. They had like 15 third downs, and 8 or 9 of them was third and long. And you had the same thing happen this year too. I mean, this week too. And when you look at from a standpoint of preparation, when you look at a standpoint of being thoroughly out, like getting your ass whooped, like that is embarrassing, but also shows that these people were not prepared to the point in which they thought that you can go in here and win a football game. I don't like how first off, defensively first again, 7 or 8 explosive plays on the day allowed. Benjamin St. Juste getting beat on the sideline several times on go balls. One double move, but go balls for the most part. With Jalen Hyatt, he had a day. Saquon Barkley having some momentum, some juice, but mainly Tyrod making plays. And then you look at the offensive side of the football. I don't understand how you come into a game where you know that Wink Martindale is going to be disguising his pressures up front. He's going to make it difficult for Sam Howell, but he's disguising his pressures up front. You know he's going to send at least 5 or 6. You know there's going to be man on the back end, and we can't find a way to get our receivers open. We can't find a way to protect Sam Howell from the standpoint of like, we're going to just say, F it. We're going to keep these 7 in, and I don't care what you do, but we're going to do 3-man routes or 2-man routes moving forward. Or we're going to find a way to run the football and make this thing work. Chris Rodriguez had juice today. I like what he did. And I don't understand like several instances when you look at let me double check before I even continue. They had 19 rushes on the day and 17 from your running backs. Rodriguez 4 yards a carry, and three or four of his rushes came on that last drive or second to last drive, whatever drive it was. Like I don't understand putting that much stress on Sam Howell, who had 6 sacks, 5 sacks in the first half, and 1 sack coming out of the first half on that first drive in the third quarter. It's several things where I think I look at the offensive side of football and say Sam Howell was flustered. It was too much pressure. Nick Gates couldn't handle the power rushes for Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams, and not even Nick Gates because he was the biggest problem, but Sadiq got worked. I don't know what Sam Cosmi looked like for the most part. I saw somebody in the chat mention Andrew Wiley, but Andrew Wiley wasn't even like a bigger factor. It was the interior who was getting whooped. And so you think about like what you thought the common problems were at the offensive line, you would say tackles. But you go up against a team with that much power up front, you're going to have those problems too. So it depends on who these guys playing up front. Ultimately, it's not a good unit. So how do you protect these guys? How do you protect Sam Howell? And you look at a team in terms of the New York Giants who does a really good job, no matter what their statistical, what their stats show you defensively on a year, they've always been good at sending pressure, finding ways to disguise their pressures, and getting free rushers. And they did just that against the Washington Commanders today. And it's like, how do you not get prepared for that early on? I'm glad that they was able to settle in the second half and sustain some drives, but it wasn't good enough. And the turnovers clearly didn't help with Washington. They had one turnover with Sam Howell, but also had like several more opportunities where it could have been a mistake. So like it was just kind of crazy to see how everything unfolded, man. You don't have a foundation like you thought you did, and if you thought you had a foundation, it's clearly flawed and it's clearly cracked, and we're allowing things to transpire the way in which they are. Another thing that I'll make my observations on: people are turning on Jahan Dotson. Matter of fact, let me reverse this. I don't want to, because some people may not even like Jahan Dotson to begin with. What I will say is, drops happen. That was a bad drop, flat out. So let's go ahead and acknowledge that was a bad drop. But don't let Jahan's situation be a scapegoat, because there were opportunities where Washington had chances to score before he dropped that pass. We think about the drive before that, where Sam Howell is forcing a pass in the end zone with Jahan Dotson wide open on the sideline, and he doesn't even get a target. That's a 2nd and 9 or 2nd and 10. You pass him the ball, you're looking at a 3rd and 3. And then you're maybe even going for it if it's 4th and inches. But now it's a 3rd and 10. Terry gets tackled after 4 yards. You're in a 3rd and 6, and the field goal gets blocked. Like, there are so many other instances where drives are killed, and it's not coming down. Don't put it on Jahan. You can criticize him for the moment, but don't sit here and say that he the reason why Washington lost. Like, you don't even know if Washington wins the game if they tie the football, if they tie the game up. So it was so many things going on, man. And I understand people's frustration, but I think like looking at this team from an identity and foundation standpoint, there is no foundation. They're just trying to find ways to win every single week. And you're going to get some wins that way, but at the same time, you don't know what you're going to lean on every single week, and that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, just to quickly piggyback on even that last play, like you can't really blame Jahan Dotson on that play. I even felt like Sam Howell could have ran for
It
the
was a
5
bad ball,
yards.
by
Yeah,
the
it was
way.
a
I didn't
bad
even mention
ball,
that
but
part.
it was behind him. But on top of that, there literally was nobody in front of Sam Howell on that play. He could have ran for 5 yards, bro. Like if Jahan even knew he was running, he would have blocked Pinnock out the play, and Sam probably would have even scored right there. Like that was an easy 5 for Sam to pick up after he maneuvered out the pocket to escape the free blitzer and Simmons. But overall, like you said, the foundation of the house is cracked. Like it's molded. Like there's no real plan behind this team as far as like roster construction. Like no one truly can contribute the way that they should or even can because they're not given the opportunity. It's more so let's see if somebody gets hurt and we'll bring him in. We'll bring him into the fold. I mean, you take Emmanuel Forbes out of the secondary 2 games now, and you're still getting beat deep. You're still getting beat heavily in the pass game. Like so what is it? It's just so many issues with how this roster is constructed, whether it be offensive line, whether it be how the defensive line is relied on so heavily defensively to get to the quarterback. The linebacker play, you had Cody Barton go down, but before he went down, he wasn't playing good. Jamin Davis getting exposed in coverage. That's supposed to be one of his strengths, but he's getting diced up by running back, tight end, whatever the case is. It's just it's just unfortunate how the team is built overall, but I mean, it is what it is at this point. That's how I look at it from the standpoint of Ron Rivera's tenureship. There's really not much you could do in season to correct these things. You just got to get rid of the dead weight. Will the new ownership group do that in season? We don't know.
What's our 1 sentence takeaways for the game? Boss up. By the way, you're right. We don't know because Jahan didn't catch the ball. We didn't have a chance to see if he was gonna make a play. That's fine. Again, can we not forget that I said Jahan had a bad drop? Like no excuses behind it.
Man,
Like a
it's
drop is a
it's
drop, bro. It
it's
is
so
what it is.
many things that happen in this game to blame
That's what I'm.
Jahan
That's
is
exactly. That's all
irresponsible,
I'm saying,
dog.
bro.
It's like
That's all
it's
I'm
like
saying.
did you watch the entire game? But I mean, my 1 sentence takeaway, man, I'm gonna just throw it back to episode on Good Times when Florida Evans said, "Damn, damn, damn."
Hey, bro. Hey, listen, man. Where is it? Amani said I was on a rant right now. I didn't even realize on the rant. I was really just rapping. But it's as simple as this, man. You the commanders today that's not out of character for them. It's exactly who they are. I'm not gonna let Dre, whenever he gets on, he'll probably be on Tuesday. I'm not gonna let him forget his 1 sentence, but we'll just make a larger topic out of that. However, let me see if I can catch up on some of the quotes from Ron Rivera and the team so far. By the way, everybody that's checking in, we appreciate y'all checking in live. We appreciate y'all tuning in on the channel. If you haven't done so, hit that like button. If you're new, hit that subscribe button. We definitely appreciate that. But also, if you want to call in, oh shoot, that's what I meant to do. Let me check and see if the link is in the YouTube description, because if it is, that will make it is in there. All right, so if you want to call in, you can definitely do that. Get things off your chest. Open floor today. We ain't going to extend it. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to get your call in, you want to get your points off, man, the floor is definitely yours. Okay, so we talked about. Well, I gave a little overview. AJ, you mentioned the offensive side of things for the most part, right? Here's where I am with today. If I had the numbers in front of me, like altogether, like the first quarter, I'm sure Washington is getting outscored tremendously. The first half, in terms of like the point differential, the first half, I'm sure Washington is probably losing that too, if I had to guess, right? But at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing when you look at this offensive side of the football, because if you know, like the defense somewhat settled down, it gave them some opportunities, right? But you're talking about a team on offense who had, let's take a look. They had 1, 2, 3. Matter of fact, let me read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 drives on the day of 4 or less plays on it. And one more drive if you wanted to do 5 or less, right? Like they can't sustain anything offensively. And that comes from if you're talking about a team who is consistently inept at periods of time during a game, that goes beyond just the players, right? I think we know as evidence rolls in, the interior is good if they're not going up against some of the best power rushers in the NFL or power interior defensive linemen in the NFL. But also the tackles are good when they aren't going up against some speed demons. Like it's a combination of failures or like glaring flaws that can really wreak that offensive line. Second thing is, one of my biggest issues in the run game isn't even with the running backs. It's the fact that you aren't generating much of a push up front. And that's consistently on a week-to-week basis. So you know your flaws on the offensive line. But then it's like, how are we trying to combat or overcome something like that? And for offensive coordinator side, right, because that's what we were talking about earlier when you started talking, AJ, the biggest conversation with that is you can't go into a situation or even a game and say, I don't have no answers. This is who I have. This is all I got to work with. Like, there has to be answers. And you have to see an attempt of trying to adjust some things, right? I think one of the more underrated calls for today actually came towards the end of the game. And it was the quick screen to Terry because Sam knew that there was all-out pressure coming up the middle. And he screened that to Terry, and Terry got him like 5 or 6 yards to stay ahead of the sticks. But from an overall standpoint, from a game, quarter one, first drive to the final part of the game, man, there was just too much going on where you look at these guys and say, like, what is the plan? What is the protection plan? And how do you counter an aggressive defense like that? That's where I am.
Yeah, man. I think with this game, man, you just pack it up and throw it away. Because at the end of the day, you didn't do anything. You didn't accomplish anything. You didn't get to attack the youth in the Giants secondary. And I thought that they should have max protect earlier in the game. Excuse me, and try to go deep to Terry, Jahan, Curtis, whoever, because Hawkins and Banks are 2 rookie corners. And once they started kind of doing that, they were productive, whether it be a flag or Terry getting the catch, they're productive. But I mean, offensively, man, it's like you said, if you go against a dominant interior rusher, you're screwed there. And then when you go against a team that has both interior rusher and an outside rusher, like you will be doing against Philly next week, it in the African culture, it says it's getting worser. It's getting worser.
Hey, before you even continue, hey, if you're calling up, I see you on the private screen. Just let us know your name in the private chat so we can help ourselves out. But go ahead.
So yeah, it's just like everything is just constructed poorly, man. I really don't know what Eric Bieniemy was thinking in the moment. I think he was just like, hey, it kind of is what it is at this point because I don't really know what else to do. Like, I think once they got up by 14, he just pretty much was like, I don't really know what else to do at this point because we keep putting ourselves in 3rd and long, like you stated. Like most of the downs were 9+ yards. it's hard to keep diving into that bag to get plays, especially when the blitz is coming. Like if it's 3rd and 4 or if it's 3rd and 3, that's different. But like keep putting yourself in bad situations because you're having penalties. Like guys are so scared for the snap of the ball that they're jumping early. Or when they do get the snap off, now they're holding. It's like you just putting yourself in worse positions to not really be able to complete a drive and be able to be successful to continue to drive. So I don't know, man. It's just like it's just like I watched the game today and I just like, hey man, it is what it is. It's all good. I ain't even tripping. Cause I expected it. I didn't expect Eric Bieniemy to come out with like a perfect counter attack to Wink Martindale's system. And I expected Sam Howell to look flustered. I think he never really got a grip of what was coming and what wasn't coming as far as Wink Martindale's scheme. I just think that they just got out coached and out prepared on both sides of the ball.
All right, let's go ahead and bring up some callers. Marquise is checking in, man. He got some things to get off his chest. Let's go ahead and add him to the show. Big dog Keith, what's going on with you, player?
What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing?
We good, man.
Doing
You got the
good.
floor, big dog. Let us know what you got going on.
Nothing much, man. I just turned the game off. That was me crying in the daggone comments, man. The boss up keys, y'all. Man,
You good, man.
it's really look. Nah, I had to get that off my chest. Look, I'm at work trying to keep quiet, watching the game, and I'm just confused. I'm like, bro. So they didn't run, and I heard you make a good point. They didn't run any max protect plays towards the beginning of the game to open up downfield. So the same game plan we had coming into Chicago, the same game plan you had coming into Atlanta. Run the ball, run the ball. If that doesn't work, we're going to punt it and hopefully get a stop eventually. And we might break a big play eventually, but we're not really trying to get that big play to start the game off. There's
we
no
just trying to move the
reason.
sticks for real.
Right, and that's my thing. But it's like y'all are, and it's too much of trying to simplify everything when some things you just need to do. Like y'all not trying to win, y'all are just trying not to lose at this point. Y'all not trying to score, y'all just trying to keep the ball in your hands. So it's like, as far as the coaching adjustments, because the players are good. Like I don't think anybody is saying they're not good. Like Jahan is good. I ain't taking that from him, but it's like even Jahan, y'all not putting him in a position to succeed. He's better off in the slot, but for some reason, y'all putting Samuel in the slot and y'all putting him outside with Terry. When every touchdown Jahan scored last year, red zone, whatever the case may be, big play last year against New York, everything came from the slot. So it's like y'all overcomplicating things at this point. Coaches on both sides, in my opinion.
One thing you touched on though, Keith, is the fact that you mentioned like the explosive plays in general. Like you said it in passing, but it was like that's another thing. Like when you look at this offense from a standpoint of even just trying to get the ball in your playmakers' hands quickly, like there isn't anything popping off that's a big play. Your two big plays from today was Terry in the fourth quarter towards the end of the game. And those weren't even necessarily explosive plays, but it was like one was like a 20-something yarder, and one was a little bit longer than that. But to that point, like that's the most you can see the passes get downfield. And like so a challenge in the defense standpoint and not allowing a defense to dictate what you want to call. Like these are kind of the ebbs and flows of this offense. Like sometimes you see efficiency, but then sometimes you don't see people actually making plays when the football get in their hand, or if the play call is dialed up, so to where you can make like that perfect read or hit the perfect hole in terms of like a run play. I don't know, but I don't really think the run game is anything. I think it's bullshit right now. So I guess we'll figure that part out. Yeah, but to your point though, like the actual explosive play nature, like this, like with the weapons that they have on the exterior with your receivers, it's kind of crazy that you aren't seeing much of anything 7 weeks into the season.
Man, 7 weeks, and that's my whole thing. Like I could understand the first few weeks. I understood like every team has to fill out the offense, but your line is bad. So you need to either run one tight end. If he's not chipping on the end, then he need to stay right there. There's no reason nobody should be running off the line, touching nobody. Logan Thomas, I've been saying for the longest, he's just a slower Travis Kelce. Like he's not a blocker. So putting him in that position, trying to make him do that, is doing nothing but frustrating him. Because when he gets beat, when I come back to the sideline, I have to hear about it. But y'all know that's not my strength coming into the game, coming into the season, coming into practice, whatever. That's what y'all got John Base for. And he don't even touch the field anymore. So it's like y'all have people that could help out the team, but y'all aren't using them the right way. Like you get Terry, and this one thing I saw in the game that everybody probably saw, and it pissed me off. You got Deontay Banks, who's a rookie, checking Terry McLaurin one-on-one. I just watched you throw this man the ball 5 times against AJ Terrell and Jeff Okuda, but you don't throw the ball against a known aggressive corner in college. He was known to get beat deep. They drafted him because he's physical. He's not a good coverage corner at all. But you keep with these little slow, little 3-yard slant. He's going to get physical. He's going to put hands on you. Now he can cover that. He cannot check Terry after 15 yards.
Well, I mean, you had to go with the slants because of how many people were being blitzed. So someone's open. Like if you're sending 6 to 7 guys on first, second down, third down, someone's open. It's up to the quarterback to read that pre-snap and to be able to make that adjustment as soon as he gets the ball, where to go with his read. He could be wrong, but he could also be right. It's a 50-50 thing. So it's like even with the more developing plays downfield, that's the issue. Sam has been trying to hit those, and he's holding on to the ball, which is leading to more sacks. In some cases, you have to also take in this offense what is right in front of you. You know, Mual broke it down earlier on that one play, like in the red zone area, where he tries to hit a corner route to Curtis Samuel as if
the
he's
Jahan
6'5".
He was right in front of him.
Jahan is right in front of him.
I screamed it.
It led to the missed field goal.
So it's like you also are being crippled by the thought process of your quarterback. It's just hard overall. No one did a good job, but it's like the plays are there to be had downfield. It's just that you also need your offensive line to protect long enough, but you need your quarterback to not wait for those guys to necessarily be wide open. He needs to throw them open, and it's just not really happening like that. So, I mean, that's why, you know, you really haven't seen the big explosive plays on offense. But the other issue is defensively, your whole scheme is set up to not get beat with explosive plays, but that continuously happens every week, multiple times, all throughout the game. So it's just like, it's just bad coaching. And right now, the personnel doesn't really match up with what anybody really wants to do all the way. And the only way to get this funk out is to throw it away, throw it in the trash, and let the garbage people pick it up tomorrow. Is to fire everyone and move on. But you can't really do that in season. I mean, you could and see what it would look like, but the coaching staff ain't really built to have people step in. That's another thing. So it's just all the way screwed up, and it's unfortunate us as Washington fans just gonna have to live through this until January 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, honestly though, bro, like I got one question for you, Key. So I appreciate you checking in and even calling in for the post game, man. So AJ had asked us early when we started. He said, what is a game that you can look at on the schedule? I mean, now granted, we just lost, and Washington just lost in an embarrassing but predictable, or could have been predictable fashion. So the emotions may be a little it may influence your answer, but what do you look at the schedule and sit here and say that there's another win on the board for Washington? Do you have an answer right now, or where are you at?
I don't know. We always split with the Cowboys, or at least I always expect that. So I'll definitely say Dallas. Do I see us beating Philly next week? Probably not. I think they'll play a good game, and if they lose playing a good game, I'm cool with that. But I don't know, man.
I don't know. It was a tough question. I don't know. That's kind of unfortunate for a team in year 4 under on, and you don't know you don't know when the next win about to happen. Hey, that's crazy, bro. Hey, but Keith, man, if you got any last thoughts, man, the floor is yours. But we appreciate you checking in, big dog.
Appreciate y'all. Now, only thing I wanted to say was, like y'all said, or y'all been saying the whole time, it's really just coaching. I think once they get better coaches in there, they can keep the same personnel, honestly, but you just need a younger mind in there. You got vet younger players that can assist the younger coach coming in. So I think that's really all it is. They let go of Chris Harris out the DB core. That was dumb. I definitely thought they should have kept him. He made Cam Curl where he is now, but you lose that, you lose the back half of your defense. You can't run any stunts underneath if they know they're not going to get to the quarterback. So, and that's really the only thing. Just the adjustments.
Hey man, don't let these boys piss you off at work, bro. You still got a couple more hours, big dog. But
Yes,
appreciate
sir,
you, man.
Yes, sir. Y'all take our time, man.
Yes, sir. All right, there goes Keys. So listen though, we have somebody else up. Just if you all want to come in, you can. Just make sure you leave your name in the private chat so we can go and get you squared away when we get you on the show. So we got a couple things. AJ, I get the floor to who is this? Jahan Dotson, who spoke. But stats wise, let's go ahead and clean this part up. 356 total yards on the day for the Giants to Washington's 273. Washington finished 1 of 15 on third downs, which is, first of all, for you to even have that many third downs, like, that's good. But it's like, how do you 5 for 16 for the Giants? 14 total drives. Like what I say, like 8 or 9 of them went for 4 plays or less for the Commanders. 6 sacks for Washington, obviously. Chase Young had himself a day. Once again, what he had 2.5 sacks, I believe, if not 2. 2 sacks on the day. Khalil Cousin had him 1, and Montez had him a layup of a sack, which was, it is what it is. I think we had some injuries. Cody Barton was injured. I think Quan Martin was injured as well. So I don't know what his situation is. What Quan is. I don't know if he even got back in the game. I'm not sure. I don't think he did. But here we are with Jahan Dotson. Let me talk to, hold on. Who is this guy? All right. Here's Jahan Dotson. We're going to go ahead and let him play for the last moment. Obviously, as we know, he dropped that 4th down pass from Sam Howell. Here's what he said post game. Let me go ahead and present my screen, and we can hear what he's talking about. Window should have sound right. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
You were kind of sitting on the sideline. These guys were shaking hands. What's going through your head in that moment?
Everything. Just because I know the capability of myself. I know I make those plays all the time with my eyes closed. So not being able to make that play, it hurts for sure. And I'm going to let it hurt because that's the only way I'm going to get better because I don't want to feel like this again. But, I'm going to get back to work. That's all I do. That's what I'm going to continue to do.
Do you feel like you guys are?
All right, there we go. So we have, you have any thoughts on, well, actually, don't even matter because we already talked about Jahan and the stats. We're going to get Mindy in here. Presumably the pissed Giants fan. This is going to be funny because I'm sure, you take a dub when you get one. So let's go ahead and see. Let's talk to Mindy right quick and see what's going on. Hey, appreciate you joining us right now. How you feeling?
Yo, is she?
I heard.
Man.
My bad. I heard Mindy. I saw Mindy. When I hear Mindy, I'm thinking, you know what? Apologies. There you go.
Nah. You good, bro?
Hey, what's going on with you, boss? Appreciate you checking in.
Nah, dude. Of course. So I'm a big Giants fan, and the Commanders, the Redskins, whatever you call yourselves, every fucking year, whenever the Giants suck, dude, you always have to go ahead and beat up. And let us beat you, so you ruin our draft pick every single time. I mean, the Giants aren't going anywhere. Tyrod Taylor is a backup quarterback. He doesn't have a future here. This win does absolutely nothing because the Giants are beyond ass, dude. The Giants are going to end up with 4 wins, and half of them are going to be thanks to your lousy ass team, because even when you do have a good team and the Giants are not going anywhere, y'all still can't beat us. I'm not trying to go ahead and be like, oh, yo, bro, we're better. We are ass cheeks, dude. We're fucking terrible. Every single week I sit down expecting to lose, and then I have to purposely root against my team, against the Commanders, because the Commanders are so fucking bad to go ahead and beat a Division III NFL team, dude? Why do you guys do this to us? You know what? It's on purpose. You guys lost because you saw that the Bears won, and you guys would rather have a loss against the Giants than the Giants get Caleb. That's what you guys
Hey,
are doing.
Well,
hey,
Mandy, I got news for you, bro.
this is my
Go ahead.
response to you. You're welcome.
I'm about to say, like, what's up, bro? You acting like you ain't about to lose like 12 more games. You still got. We only play y'all twice a year. What's up?
I know 100%, right? But the Bears suck. The Panthers suck. All it takes is 4 wins for us for us to drop down to 4. So this win does
the
absolutely
Panthers
nothing for us.
They ain't getting Caleb, so you ain't got nothing to worry about, man.
Well, yeah, but the Bears have that pick, so it's going to be Bears, and then maybe the Patriots, whoever it is, and then the Giants.
Okay.
Because so it's like I don't understand how the Giants own you guys. Can you maybe explain to me what is it that the Giants have against you guys?
Yeah, sure, I got you, bro. But before he is losing this shit, I appreciate it, Mindy. Before we get out of here and explain why we lose to you all, I want to give you the floor for whatever thoughts that you have, unless it's just expressing your frustration of the fact that we beat y'all today. I mean, excuse me, that y'all beat us today, and that y'all improved to 2-5 on the season, and y'all are battling for 3rd place along with the Commanders this year.
I mean, honestly, dude, that's been it. Other than the fact that you thought I was a woman beforehand.
That was an embarrassing moment.
Nah, but because I can't go ahead and call up ESPN tomorrow and be like, oh man, the Giants suck, everything like that. So like I have to let it out, and I typed in Commanders. I'm on YouTube, and I've been watching you guys for the last like 25 minutes, and I thought that and I've been really enjoying it. So I was like, yo, I'll just hop on here. But dude, honestly, as a Giants fan, I've been loving the show. I think it's entertaining. I think it's fun, and I would appreciate if you guys could beat us later on this year.
Quick questions for you, because you're so mad about draft status. Who do you want the Giants to draft?
Well, I'm looking for Caleb, or I am looking for Drake May, because I can't do this Daniel Jones shit every single year.
It's actually funny. Y'all just paid him. Y'all got like 2 or 3 years with him.
Okay, so it's actually a 2-year deal, because the first 2 years are guaranteed. So it's going to be this season, and then it's going to be next season. So you could go ahead and bench Drake May or Jay-Z McCarthy or Michael Penix, whoever it is. You could go ahead, bench him behind Daniel, and then cut Daniel after next season. And I think it's like it's like a $10 million dead cap, but it frees up about $45 million. So I think that's the Giants' plan, but at the same time, Daniel Jones, the same shit every year, bro. He's inconsistent, and he is always hurt. If he turns out to be a good QB for the Chargers or a random ass team, go ahead. I don't give a fuck. It's just not working here. It's been 5 years.
Is long enough.
It's bro. It's been half a decade, dude. Think about that. It's been half a decade of a guy running for his life and being so inaccurate and taking sacks and everything like that. I have to admit, it's 50-50. It's 50-50 on the GM because he can't put together a single offensive line. By the way, since 2013, the Giants have had a bottom 5 offensive line every single year.
I'm gonna cut you off, man. We appreciate you calling in.
All right, go.
But we want to get to some of our Commanders fans.
We just wanted to get some. I'm glad you got it off your chest.
We appreciate you calling in.
All right, guys. Bet. Have a good one, boys.
Yes, sir. Like Mindy, who is not a woman, like I presumed wrongfully. Make sure if you new, man, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We definitely appreciate y'all checking in. Look, man, we're not gonna turn you away if you're not a Skins fan, because support is always appreciated. Even though he probably just wanted to find a way to vent and talk some shit about Commanders. It won't happen again, Mindy. We're not letting that slide. But listen though, if you want to call in, the link is in the description. You can do that. Here's Ron Rivera too. AJ post game. He had about a minute where he talked, and we're going to see what he said. I don't have the full word. So we'll be hearing this for the first time right now. Where is my screen? Is it this one? Here we go. All right, here we go.
Ron, you guys obviously played yourself quite a hole in offense there. What was going on? Just execution, slow to adjust. What do you think?
Well, they threw a lot of different things at us, and again, we got to be able to pick them up and slow it down. I mean, that's the truth about it. First half, whatever they did, they were having a little more success than we needed them to have. We got to be able to be better at that early on and make those adjustments a little bit quicker. We came out at halftime, and I thought the adjustments that were made were what we needed to have.
Obviously, in this league, anybody can beat anybody, but 2 of the last 2 weeks, lost to the Bears, lose this game. Do you feel this is do you feel like it's slipping away after games like this at all?
Well, I don't know. It depends on what's the next game. And to me, it's really about how you bounce back more than it is anything else. With 10 games left to go, you never know what's going to happen. But you got to take them one at a time. You got to stay focused on it. We'll correct these things. There's a lot of things that we can correct. I think we're going to get better at. And we'll continue to get, work at it, and we'll see what happens.
That's Ron post game. 10 games left to go, and you never know what's going to happen. So if we step down from the fierce and I guess the fierce ledge that we are reacting to the post game, you're 3-4. You're still in the midst of a wild card opportunity. I also think that, and if you all listen to the preview, I think what is more frustrating, AJ, isn't even the fact that Washington lose, right, or lost, because pregame, you predicted a loss, and I said I wouldn't be surprised if they lose. I also started out the show, if you remember, saying that the Giants weren't a bad team in a sense of their circumstances getting in the way before the season even started. Their record indicates they're bad. They are a bad team by that definition. But if you were to give them a full deck of cards and to say, have yourself a season, they may win more than one game over that 5-game stretch. And the perception of them heading into this game may be a little bit different. So stepping down from the ledge a little bit, 3-4, you're in the playoff race still. That's nothing to I'm not sitting here trying to convince everybody, F the game, we'll be fine. I'm more so just acknowledging the fact that there is 10 games left to go, right? What, 7? Yeah, there is 10 games left to go. We don't know what's going to happen, but there's a good chance, even with us not knowing what's going to happen, we can assume that the whole situation will continue to go in the way in which it has, which is a good game here and there, but a ton of inconsistency to the point that we can't trust that these guys are the job or are the people that's going to get the job done at the end of the day. You mentioned a gift would be an in-season firing. One thing that I didn't say when Keith got on here, because I did want to add to that conversation, but the one thing that I didn't say is at this point, who does it benefit to even get rid of anybody when what this is and what's going on it's not going to help Washington in the middle of the season. They can do exactly what they're doing now with an interim head coach and make or miss the playoffs the same way that Ron, who's in charge right now, would probably do the same thing for them. I'll give you the floor to you and let you and get your thoughts on kind of where I was, or even if you have something to add or whatever. But let me know what you're thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean, you could just fire from the standpoint of maybe this might interject some new blood, some new feeling, but overall, at the end of the day, you kind of are the team that you are. You can't just rebuild a team in the middle of the season. You just kind of deal with the cards at hand. I mean, that's the only thing the ownership could possibly want to see from it. Hey, how would this look if it was coming from a different voice? But I don't even think the ownership is looking at this current team and staff saying to themselves, this is a playoff contending team. If they thought that, I don't think we'd be having this conversation at 5:19 p.m. Eastern time, or feeling this dejected as fans. So I just think it's one of those situations where you either could let it play out and it could get
Mhm.
really ugly, or
Mhm.
you can make a change and see, hey, do these players take better to a different style, a different voice? And maybe the whole time the main issue was the head coach that's been in place that we didn't hire. So that's something that you could do. And now with how the NFL has changed the hiring process too, it'll allow you to see, if maybe Airbnb is a real candidate for this job, see how he would do if he took over this team versus having to wait so long now that the process has been pushed back to, I think, the past the divisional round of the playoffs.
Um, wait, what was the question? About the division round?
I was saying, like, I think the coaching hiring process has been pushed back
Oh yes, that's correct. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
to
they
at least,
updated
like,
that.
you can't do interviews until the divisional round or something like that now. I can't remember exactly.
No, that's correct. Yeah, no, nothing after nothing before the divisional round. Excuse me, something like that. They just put that in this week. So, um, yeah, man, it's rough. But hey, I see you, Ron. See you, Sean. Say Ron takes care. Family takes care. Sometimes take. Hey, man, I know how we feel. K1, Kawan. Everyone knows House Harris is cleaning house. Ron's a dead man coaching. Um, hey man, I don't think you're wrong. Well, I'm sorry. I think most of us know. But I wonder what the people in the building kind of feel. This has been a very weird year, but nothing too unfamiliar. If that makes sense. Like weird from taking in everything. Even with Eric Bieniemy being like in a 1 year situation or essentially 2 years because of he's with Ron, he's tied in with Ron. But even with the enemy being here, it's like, how can you even like what's his future look like? Tying himself to Ron Rivera like this. Um, and I know I'm just adding on top of what AJ said, so not necessarily the same thing. I don't think it's nothing wrong with considering EB as a interim, but if something happens, but just the main thing, like what does his future look like? Because offensively, now I don't have the numbers in terms of like what it would look like after this week. But you're talking about a team who is 22nd in yards a game, 15th obviously in points, which helps. But you also have a quarterback who has been sacked a ridiculous amount of times. And that's not. I'm not even playing the blame game here. I'm just saying from a macro perspective, like what does his future look like? Because he tied himself to Ron and he chose to try and work out here in Washington. Uh, that's one thing to consider. I think we know what Jack the real future look like. He old as shit. So what he supposed to do? He ain't doing nothing. Ron Rivera, he old as shit. Like he ain't doing nothing either. But you think about some other people that could have been waiting in the wings, and seeing what their future looks like. So I don't know, man. Monty says he thinks the defense is over Jack. Ben Johnson will be a great hire next season. Maybe he said he wanted to stick around Detroit for the long run. So who knows? That may be multiple years, not just 2 years with Detroit or 3 years with Detroit. And Sean said a different voice, maybe a voice at all, someone that talks to the sidelines. But yeah, that's kind of where we are. All right, AJ, man, it's rough, but I know you enjoy the moments where they lose, so you can sound your bell again. So I appreciate you. I already appreciate you checking in. He was, for those who don't know, man, sometimes I gotta be, I'm usually the first person into the studio, but AJ was in this motherfucker waiting on me. He had some things to say today, bro. So
Hey, no, I'm just cooling, man. I just think that some of the commentary from the Atlanta game, as far as like, oh, Two Hills this, Jamin Davis is this, like everyone's doing better. I just thought a lot of that was just like, hey, you're just living in the moment. Like at the end of the day, this team is not a good team overall. Like that's the main takeaway from this game overall. Like this team is not ready to compete with anybody.
100% agree. they're not even the mediocre teams, like they have all levels. You just said it. I agree, because they lost to the Bears, shouldn't have lost to the Bears, got crushed by them. And then the Giants game, opportunities galore in front of you, and you all wet the bed. So that's gonna wrap it up for us, AJ. Like I said, everybody in here, appreciate y'all listening, watching in post game, man. Sticking with us immediately after the games are over, man. We definitely appreciate that. We're gonna be back Tuesday. Hopefully Dre's in, because I gotta talk about that conversation, man. It's gonna be a really good one. We're gonna try and have a guest on as well Tuesdays, so we can kind of get some new perspective in here. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for us. And maybe a call in or two on Tuesday as well. I like when we do that. I'm glad we was able to get a couple people to call in today. So AJ, man, enjoy your Sunday. Everybody else, enjoy y'all Sunday too, man. We out of here. Peace.